Welcome to Tower Gardening Made Easy, and I'm Sherry. If you're new here, be sure to tap that button below and continue to grow our community because you're not going to want to miss what's going to happen today. We're going to continue on our journey of the Great Pumpkin Challenge. So stay with me. Welcome back. Well, it's been 12 days since we planted out the wee little pumpkin seeds into the Tower Garden rock wall. And today I have about 8 to 10 that are ready to go in. So they're not all up yet, and I'll show you the tray in a minute. But the ones that are getting a little leggy, and they already have their third leaf. So I need to put them in. It's really important. Otherwise, they're just going to really just be very floppy, and you don't want that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put the ones that are ready into the tower. We're going to prop them up with a little more rock wall, and then we're going to top them off with a little bit of a collar. So let's do that now. All right. So what I want to do is I'm just going to give you a little show of the bottom. And I actually haven't looked, but I can just tell. Okay. So right here, you've got the two basic leaves that come up like any type of squash plant. And then you have the third leaf. But most importantly, you can see in the rock wall here that we have a really good sized root on 1, 2, and 3 and a bottom. So that's how you know that your plant, your seedling is ready to go into the tower. So we're going to pop these in. So I'm going to just go ahead and place them in, the ones that are ready. Actually, you know what? One other little important thing to remember. When you look at that seed well, make sure that the stem is closest to the tower. So I'm going to go ahead and just rotate that a little bit. And there's also the seed casing. So I'm going to go ahead and just get rid of that. Get rid of any debris that might be in there. And so this one's a little leggy, so we're going to have to come up and just prop them up a little bit with some rock wall. All right, so this one is my favorite. This is what I would consider textbook. So what I mean by that is it has the two basic leaves. It has the third leaf here. It has good structure of roots coming out of all four sides and the bottom. And I'm just going to get that little seed that's in the bottom out of there, so it doesn't cause any mildew down the road. And what I like about it is that it's not too top heavy. All right, so this is the textbook one. We love this one. So I'm going to go ahead and give this one up here nice and high. So I love that third leaf. Really, really pretty. So let's bop these in. A few more. The rest of the tray, and I'll show you that in a second, is they're just starting. But if I had left these guys to when the rest are ready to go in, I just think that they would be too tall. They would probably get a little burnt from the spider lights. And honestly, they're ready. So why not put them in? Because remember, we only have 120 days to do this. So the sooner we can get them in, the better. So I'm going to go ahead and just start to pop those in. And there we go. Put this little guy down here. I'm going to space them out and leave room up on top for the other ones because these will be a little more advanced and we don't want them to canopy or shadow the new guys that will go in. So remember that if you're going to do this in stages. And let's get that seed pod out. And again, this is another textbook, not too leggy. Okay, you got the 3 leaves, got a nice bottom, and we're going to go ahead and get that seed pod out. All right. And we'll put this one over here. So there's a total, I think, of 8. I love this one. So this is really shallow. Again, not too top heavy. And we've got a nice root bottom. Okay. So we'll put him over here. Love it. Now those first leaves, those first 2 leaves, once you have like your 3rd, 4th, and 5th leaf that kind of grow into it, you can pick those off. They don't need to stay. And then the rest, there is some water in the tray. So let me just kind of come on up here without spilling it. And you can just kind of see that they're just coming out. So I'm going to go ahead and just put this back in the nursery. put them under the spider lights. They do not have a cover at this point. They don't need it. As long as the spider lights are nice on top and they're on the warming mat, um, that's what's most important. If you've got some recycled rock wall, you want to be using those pieces. But if you don't, like me, I've been kind of going through it like crazy. I'm just going to tear up some of these and putting a little bit of a topper. Now, the one thing with the tower garden, which I definitely love because it's soft, malleable, and it's very easy for the root to penetrate, it does tend to disintegrate would be a good word as time goes on in the tower. Now, we know that pumpkins, just like the watermelon, just like the summer squash and zucchini, they're big seeds. And so what happens is those roots are pretty aggressive, and you need to be able to give structure to that stem, and you want it to grow. You want a little bit of girth. So you want to be picking off those leaves on the bottom so that it continues to grow out. And that way it will get bigger and produce bigger fruit. And that's what we want. Now, these pumpkins, again, they're called wee little, and they're just those little round sugar. They're not like the gigantic ones. I don't think the tower can handle that. But they'll probably potentially could be, a pound or two, just like the watermelon. I'm going to have to build some, some hammocks, if you will. So, okay, so we did a little top off there, and I'm going to do one here. Now, this top off will get wet, just like the actual rock wall that is in here. And then you just want to keep an eye on it as time goes on. And you may need to put another layer because it does disintegrate. It does kind of tap down. And I also just want to make sure that the stem is nice and firm. Now notice this is on a flex. This is the Tower Garden flex that I'm using. And it holds 20 gallons of water. I really like this tower. I've been looking at other models, but I don't see anything that's really has any like the structure that this does. I love this. They call it a cage or a trellis. It's very, very sturdy, and it can hold not only the fruit that we're going to be growing here, but it holds the leaves as well, and cloth, if you will. So on these guys behind me, these are summer squash. You could pick up that whole main vine and rest the vine on top of this so that as the weight of the foliage and the fruit bear down, you want to protect it, because if you get a crack in that vein, that's it. It's over. It's not going to grow anymore. And you're going to end up, wasting a lot of time. So, I've got a lot of these old rags that, I can use, and I am using. You can use paper towels if you want, but if they get wet, they're going to disintegrate. This will just dry out. So, always keep some extra, even just ripped up old towels will work too. You really need to be creative. I've even used the tools. I'm running out of them. This tool that comes with the that warming mat and cover, I've actually stuck this into the front right here. And I use this fork part to actually support one of those main vines that come out of the summer squash and the zucchini. And it just sits perfectly until, it's able to get a little bit bigger and it's gonna fruit. So I've got two of these. I'm down to one now. I'm going to have to come up with another source. I'm thinking a couple dowel sticks, and then just trying to come up with a system, maybe like rubber bands or something that I can use as, the same type of a fork system instead of using all my tools. But, you got to do what you got to do to give that extra support to the vine. So just in the back here, just giving a little bit of support with the rock wall. I'm using like about a quarter of a piece. I just rip it into 2 pieces and then just kind of squish it down. And then when the water turns on in a few minutes, it will wet down and just, give it a little more support that way as well. If you're sensitive to the actual wool parts of the rock wall, be sure to wear gloves or rubber gloves. Some of these tend to be a little prickly. That would be a good word. So if you're real sensitive, you want to make sure you wear gloves. The only thing that I'm sensitive to, I was just moving some of the squash around, is that when I get poked by one of those thorns, it's like poison ivy. Oh, it's awful for about like an hour. But that's the plant's defense mechanism for messing around with it. It's like saying, leave me alone. So there we go. Just a little bit on that guy right there. Oh, this one up there. It's not real leggy, but you can just tell that it needs a little bit on top to keep it going. All right. Okay, so everybody seems to have a little bit of a nice little collar. Now, a couple of these, I'm going to put these, it's almost like a cone around it. Now, the reason why I'm doing this with this particular rock wall, it's tower garden and it's very susceptible, I've learned, with algae. Until the canopy of the actual seedling grows out, I've been using this, and it works like magic. You can find these in my website, towergardeningmadeeasy.com. Go to the nursery essentials. It's right there. Click on the button. It will take you right to Amazon. And again, I don't make money from this. It's just to make it easy so that you have all the tools that you need. So I'm just going to slide it around. Maybe stick it under the lip a little bit. Um, some people say, oh, algae is natural. It's not going to hurt anything. I 100% disagree. And the reason is when you have seedlings like this, they don't have a root system that's really developed. And when you have algae on the top, it's going to rob the seedling of the nutrients that it needs, and it's not going to grow. But once you have a canopy, you can go ahead and get rid of this and recycle it to something else. But this, again, will help expedite the growth of what you're trying to do. And I'm trying to grow pumpkins in our challenge. So every second of every day counts. So I don't want algae. I'm yeah, competitive by nature. And I just love doing this because people are like, you can't grow pumpkins. Yes, we can. You can grow anything you want within reason. All right. And then I don't think I'm going to put one on this little guy down here. Well, maybe I'll try. I'll just kind of come up underneath a little bit. There we go. There we go. Um, okay, so the covers are on. So the next thing that I've already done this, but the pH on this tower is set for 6.0. Now the range for pumpkins, believe it or not, is 5.5 to 7.5. Don't know why. That's on the paper, but I'm going to go with 6 because I've got some arugula on top and I've got some celery. So I'm going to go and I'm going to pick the middle of the road because that's what these guys need. These are seedlings. So I think that 6 is safe. And my EC, the range for pumpkins is 1.8 to 2.4. Now they're seedlings. So they're actually everything in here is seedlings. So I'm going to keep it on the low side at 1.8. And then once we have everybody, all of the other seedlings in here, and everything gets a little more developed, I'll bump it up just a little bit to probably like maybe 1.9, close to like, 1.9, like maybe like 6, 7 or 8, 9, somewhere close to that higher range. And then I'll wait another week. And as they grow and develop, give me some flowers, we'll bump it into the 2s and then maybe settle in that 2.2. That's what I've been doing with my squash and the zucchini, and it's working like magic. So I've got no issues, and things are growing like weeds in here. So got some. I think my problem isn't so much the pH and the nutrients; it's keeping up with the pruning, especially with the tomatoes. It's crazy. So I'm glad that you guys could join me, and you can see the second video of the pumpkin challenge. I will be sure to post the beginning seeds of where we started. I took a picture of what they look like today. And then we will go to the next one, which is just the development of this and what it's doing in a week or two once everybody's in and doing well. But I will be sure, make sure you check the website because I'm going to be putting a few extra comments there as to where, how, and when I bump up the nutrients and just, little tidbits of what's happening on this tower. So be sure to check there. I will also do this on YouTube as well, and you can check the playlist because I'm going to keep it there. But I'm going to do some special stuff on the website just to kind of keep everybody moving back and forth. And any things like tools that I use, these are all in the nursery essentials. And the seed is called Wee Little, and that's in my website as well under my favorite seeds. So thank you so much for joining me. But here we go. It's in, and it's only been a few days. So let's just see how they develop and stay tuned for the next video of our pumpkin challenge. And we'll see you soon. Thank you so much.